Hi everyone, it's Eddie here. Eddie Makes Art, and today I wanted to show you a technique that was requested by one of my viewers, by one of my subscribers, and her name is Becky. And in a recent video I asked, what are some things that you would like me to do on video? And she asked about this technique that I did here in my art journal that I'm working on. And it's called ruching. It's a technique that's used in women's fashion mainly. Dates back to at least the 16th century. And what it is you take it's fabric that's folded onto itself, kind of, and to create ripples and little textures and stuff like that. And I did it with the Carnival tissue, which is printed on with acrylic paint. And it's a wet strength tissue, so it doesn't tear very easily, which is why I like using it for this sort of thing. And you can see that, it comes up a little bit, because the way you glue it down. So it's hard to explain in words, but I'm going to try my best, and I'm going to show you on another page. And so I have this print. It's mainly just purple. It's a print from a long haul I did on the gel plate, and this is just one of the prints. I thought we could oops, what did I do here? I keep this wax paper in here because recently it's been very humid here, and the acrylic pages and everything, if I've glued it, they like to stick to each other, and I'm trying to keep them from really sticking, because these past few days have been terrible. I actually had I have a dehumidifier in my basement because it gets damp down there even in the winter, but I brought it up the other day because it was just so terribly humid, and everything you touch was sticky. The floor was sticky. The books in my living room that I have out, are the pages started waving like this because it's they're getting saturated with water, and so they bend. In the first 24 hours I had that dehumidifier in my living room, I emptied the tank twice, which is pretty big. It's like this wide, right? This deep, and then like this deep maybe. So yeah, I emptied it out twice. I emptied it again this morning. And it's making a huge difference, but that's just the times we're living in. So I gotta, keep wax paper in between stuff just to make sure it doesn't stick and rip on me and all that fun stuff. So now this is, again, I say Carnival wet strength tissue. So it's pretty sturdy. Now, the thing is, you gotta find a spot. You gotta find the grain line to see where how it's gonna rip more easily. It'll rip easy one way, but not the other way. So here we go. Okay, this is the test. You see how straight it's ripping? Pretty straight. That's what we want. This is the side that we want. So I am going to actually take the scissors and kind of cut the top, because this way it's not going to going that way, it's not going to rip very easily, and it might just ruin the edge. So I'm just going to trim it and get this out of the way. I don't know if you can tell, my voice is getting a lot better. My throat's still a little sore. I don't know what's going on. I want to chalk it up to allergies, but it's hard to say. And I don't really have much contact with the general public, so I don't think it's the Rona, but I've been vaccinated like 3 times, so I don't think it's that. I mean, I have energy today, and I'm like, you know, up and active. So it's just a matter of taking care of my throat. Okay, so let's just take a, you know, it's going to take a little bit of this. So let's just trim this all up. Now I do save these unused bits for, you know, for other stuff. I can, you know, spray them and paint them and use them for other things. So what I want to do is I'm going to tear this into sections, probably about 2 inches wide maybe. And so about, you know, rip this section into thirds. Now the bottoms, let's see. I only want to go right up to here. Now with the tops though, what I want to do is just kind of do a little rip and tear. It's going to be harder because going this way, it's not easy to rip the tissue, but just little by little you can get a nice little ruffled edge. Okay, oops, there we go. Let's just do it to all three because I think I'll be using all three of these. See that? Give you a nice little edge there. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope you enjoyed my last couple of videos. And yeah, definitely continue to let me know what you want to see on my page. And I will do my best to, or on my channel, I'll do my best to accommodate. I'm going to trim this a little extra long. Because sometimes I don't want to cut myself short and then end up with, you know, space at the bottom. Any excess I'll just trim off if it needs it. Okay, so I've got my first section here. And what I want to do, I'm actually going to start on the right because I'm left-handed and it'd be easier for me. And I just want to get this book so it lays flatter. Come here, Baron. This is my wood baron. Just have to hold up that book cover. Okay, so I've got my glitter glue, and I use this because it's got a nice little fine tip, and it dries quickly. So let's start with a little bit of glue right up to where I want it, which is maybe around there. And then lay down your tissue. I leave a little bit unglued at the top so I can ruffle it. All right, so cut that right to the edge. And then I'll just kind of smoosh it in together. And see how I got that sticking up there? I can just fold that over a little bit and then come under and add some glue to the tissue, where you know, the part that you want to get stuck down, and avoid this part. That way it stays up and you can, you know, manipulate it and it'll feel nice and cool when you rub your hand over it. So I just keep doing that. Some more, you know, and you can do some variation. Get a little more squishing down at the bottom, maybe a little less up here. And just, you know, use your best judgment and kind of just play around with it. If you're not sure if it's going to work for you, or, you know, if you're going to be able to do it, you can. If I can do it, you can do it. But just test it on sample paper. Don't do it right on your project until you're comfortable doing it. So let's get our other piece here. And so I'm going to kind of fold this under a little bit before I connect the next piece. And then I'm just gonna do a little strip of glue. All right, and then scrunch it over. And you may have to go back and put little dots of glue in certain sections just to make sure you don't have any, you know, bits flying up and you know, where the tissue can rip if, you know, when you run your hands over it or something. Because this is meant to be touched, and you know, so you want to make sure that it can stand up. And you see I'm continually adjusting just to make sure that I've got what I want before I continue. It's harder to do once the glue's dry. Okay, get that glue in there, need a little here. And so you can just kind of guesstimate and just go around or go up and down. Put a little bit here, put a little bit there, just whatever, you know, you think is good. And I like to use paper. I like to use the prints that have like different little textures and patterns on it, and that way it just looks more interesting instead of just a flat color. Unless that's what you want, you know, you can do that for sure. But that's not what I'm going for in this one. Get a little bit more here. Okay. And this one, come on, scooch over a little bit. Thank you. I hope you guys are enjoying the summer so far. I know some places, you know, the weather's been terrible, but, you know, get out there, have fun, just be safe about it. I'm gonna go with this part. Yeah, in the AC today, not too, you know, not too cold. It's just, it keeps my arthritis from acting up. Here we go. It's me like old man, always complaining about something. I'm so old. No, I did just turn 49. You know, almost half a century. That's a lot of years. And see, I'm just like squishing and pushing and pinching, and you know, get it to where I like it, and then I move on. You definitely don't want to lay down an entire piece of tissue and then, you know, and glue it and then think you're going to be able to. That's probably not going to work for you, and it's not going to give you that, you know, the lift and the falls and the lows and the valleys, highs and valleys, whatever, you know what I mean. That wave. Words are hard today. Okay, this under a little bit, trying to hide that white edge. You know, I'm not too worried about it, but I try to hide it a little bit. And now this, we can just rip here. And see what I mean by taking your time and going in sections, because sometimes you get these little pull-ups and you'll need to go in and glue it down. And, I learned this technique in clothing when I worked in women's fashion and men's fashion. I ran a store for J. Crew. I was one of the managers there, and I did a lot of mostly the visual styling and elements of the store. And then, so I learned, you know, and I worked a lot with women's fashion, so I learned about these different techniques and what they're called. It was fun for a while, but, you know, it gets stressful out there dealing with the public sometimes. But it was a great job. I enjoyed it. I met some really great people. I started in a store at the J. Crew store in Atlanta, in downtown Atlanta at the mall there, or in, not downtown Atlanta, what's it called? Basically where the mall is there. I can't think of the area. Buckhead. That's the name, Buckhead. So I worked there for about a year and a half, and then I was promoted to a position in Boca Raton, Florida, at the Boca Town Center. Worked there for a couple years. Yeah. After that, I went on to a home decor place that had sold furniture, everything from candles to furniture, everything in between, vases, flowers, all sorts of stuff. So got a lot of good design knowledge out of that job as well. So yeah, had some neat jobs. And I've always enjoyed color mixing, color combos, you know, putting things like that together. And which is great because, especially when I worked in the men's department, my last retail job was working at Nordstrom in Boca Raton for the men's suit department, which is one of the top departments in the store, especially, you know, sales-wise. So, you know, it was a great position I had. So I learned a lot there, and a lot of the men's just, you know, weren't very good at the color combining and that sort of thing. And some of them would come in and have an idea of what they wanted, and you work with that, and you kind of, you know your colors, you know what's going to work with the person's like tone, skin tone, and that sort of thing. So that's fun. And you see, very simple. Got this done quickly, and it's, you hold it up really well. You see all the neat texture going on. So I'm going to let that dry, and then what I'll do is I'll come in and just kind of trim carefully. On the other one, I folded it up on the other, behind on the other page, but this one doesn't, I don't really want to do that to here. I like it as it is, so, but yeah, once it dries, I'll come in and trim that up. So Becky, I hope that helps. I hope I was able to teach you to do this technique called ruching. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and check out the description box for any other info and discount codes that I have to offer you. And if you want, you can always hit the little star thanks, or the heart that says thanks, or the, basically you can buy me a cup of coffee, or help buy me some art supplies, which are, you know, essentially my line of work, and this is my only work, so I would appreciate it, but it's not necessary. A like and a subscribe is really all I ask for. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all your support and all your lovely comments. And I will see you in the next video.